Are we saying the Indiana, there's some follow-up questions that Chloe Peterson and some of these other people that have access need to specifically ask. Did the Indiana Fever medical team believe she was not healthy enough to play this season? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Was Caitlin Clark benched by the Indiana Fever? Not because of injury, but because Stephanie White and this organization decided they were better off without her? That's the million-dollar question burning across the WNBA right now, and the answer could shake the league to its core. Welcome back to Black and White Sports, the channel that doesn't sugarcoat a single thing. If you came here for PR spin or corporate-friendly sound bites, you're in the wrong place. But if you want the no-holds-barred truth about what's happening in professional basketball, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're diving straight into the fire. Now here's the thing.
Or did you guys just take it upon yourself to, and I understand. Look, I think she ought to be 100% healthy too. But if she's 95% healthy, I mean, you get my point. You got a team making a playoff run right here. I want to know, and I want somebody to ask, did Caitlin Clark feel like she was healthy enough to play? Does her doctors say that she's healthy enough to go? Yes or no on both questions. They're valid questions that the fans deserve answers to. Well, yeah, they did. And yeah, she does. Then what are we doing? Question mark. Then why did you guys feel
Caitlin Clark isn't just any rookie. She's the face of the WNBA, the one player single-handedly pulling in ratings, ticket sales, and attention from sports fans who never cared about women's basketball before. And now, suddenly, with the Fever fighting for playoff relevance, Clark is out for the rest of the season. Why? The official line is long-term health and wellness. That sounds nice. It sounds safe. But if you listen closely to Stephanie White's words, if you read between the lines, something doesn't add up.
But if this is any other athlete, I would be like, yeah, but you're not 100% at the end of the season if you played any. Really? And she's very specific about the fact that it was the decision we came to, and Caitlin was frustrated. If Caitlin Clark felt like she was able to play, and they're not going to allow her to play, what is going on with this organization?
Clark reportedly feels frustrated. She reportedly wanted to play. So why didn't she get that chance? This isn't just about one rookie sitting out. This is about whether the most marketable star in WNBA history is being controlled, silenced, or flat out benched by her own organization. And tonight, we're going to tear this story wide open. To understand just how messy this situation is, we need to rewind the tape. Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA with more hype than any player in modern history. We're talking sold-out arenas, national TV headlines, and jersey sales through the roof.
But if this is any other athlete, I would be like, yeah, but you're not 100% at the end of the season if you played any. Really? And she's very specific about the fact that it was the decision we came to, and Caitlin was frustrated. If Caitlin Clark felt like she was able to play, and they're not going to allow her to play?
The Indiana Fever didn't just draft a player, they drafted a phenomenon. But the fairy tale rookie season never really happened. From the very beginning, Clark was banged up, nagging injuries, constantly targeted on defense. She took the hits, kept fighting, and tried to carry a rebuilding franchise on her back. Still, every time she got close to hitting her stride, something else went wrong. Enter Stephanie White. On the surface, she's just another coach protecting her star. But the more you listen to her press conferences, the more red flags start popping up. At one point, she actually called Clark's injury a blessing in disguise.
What is going on with this organization? I mean, look, if this was any other athlete, I would hold them to the same standard. If they feel like they can play and they feel like they're healthy enough to play, they should play. Did the organization bench her for the rest of the season? And I know a lot of people have been like, well, she could come back for the play.
Think about that. Your franchise cornerstone sidelined, and your head coach is basically saying it might be better that way? That's not the kind of language fans expect from someone supposedly fighting to get their superstar back on the floor. And then there's the Carolyn Peck connection, Stephanie's old mentor. The same Carolyn Peck who went on record saying the Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark. Coincidence? Or is this a philosophy being quietly pushed inside the Fever organization? Put all this together, the comments, the connections, the mixed messaging, and it paints a picture that's way bigger than "Clark needs to rest." Fans are asking if this was really about safety or about control. So let's break down exactly what Stephanie White said, word for word, and why it's got people fuming. According to White, the team ran out of time to bring Caitlin Clark back in a safe way. She emphasized long-term health and wellness, saying Clark worked her butt off but ultimately couldn't get there. On paper, it sounds reasonable. Coaches are supposed to protect their players, right? But here's the problem: the wording. White didn't say Clark wasn't cleared by doctors. She didn't say Clark's body flat out failed her. She said we, meaning the organization, not the medical staff, decided it wasn't safe. That tiny detail changes everything. Because if Clark was frustrated, if she felt ready, then this wasn't just about her body, it was about control. Think about it. White admitted Clark was disappointed. That's not how you describe an athlete who agrees with the decision. That's how you describe someone who wanted to fight but was told to sit down. If Caitlin Clark felt she could play, and if her doctors agreed, then why shut her down? Why take the decision out of her hands during the most critical stretch of the season? This is where suspicion turns into accusation. The Fever didn't just play it safe. They benched the most valuable player in the league, not because she refused, but because they refused. And if that's the case, we need answers. Who made that call? The medical team? The front office? Or was it Stephanie White herself pulling the plug? Here's where the whole thing blows wide open: the contradictions. If Caitlin Clark truly wasn't healthy, the messaging should be simple. Doctors didn't clear her. End of story. Fans would be disappointed, but they'd understand. Instead, we get this carefully scripted, "we ran out of time" excuse. That's not clarity, that's spin. And the more spin you hear, the more you wonder what's really happening behind closed doors. Now layer in the comments from Carolyn Peck, Stephanie White's mentor. She straight up said the Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark. That's not a throwaway opinion, that's a philosophy. And when your head coach is linked to that philosophy, you can't ignore it. Are we seriously supposed to believe it's just coincidence that the team's most marketable star gets sidelined right when the Fever start winning without her? Then there's the blessing in disguise remark. Imagine telling fans, telling Clark herself, that her injury is secretly a good thing. That doesn't sound like a coach desperate to get her back. It sounds like someone looking for justification to move forward without her. And if that's the mindset, the decision to shut her down looks a lot less medical and a lot more personal. Here's the ugly truth. If Clark felt healthy enough to play, and if her medical team backed her, then the Fever stripped her of the one thing every athlete lives for: the right to compete. They didn't protect her, they benched her. And if that's true, it's not just questionable coaching, it's sabotage. So now we have to ask, is the Indiana Fever building around Caitlin Clark, or are they quietly testing how far they can go without her? Let's strip this down to the nuts and bolts. Caitlin Clark's injury status has been one long gray area. She wasn't out with a torn ACL. She wasn't sidelined with a career-ending diagnosis. By all accounts, this was about managing lingering issues, nagging pain, recovery windows, and the physical toll of carrying a team on her back. That's the reality every pro athlete lives with. Nobody in September is 100% healthy, and yet the Fever acted like anything less than perfect was unacceptable. That's where the double standard kicks in. In the NBA, in the NFL, in basically every other league, if a star says, "I can go," and doctors clear them, even at 85%, they go. That's the culture of competition. But with Caitlin Clark, we're suddenly supposed to believe the Fever are taking the ultra-conservative route for her long-term wellness? That's not consistency, that's selective caution. Now let's add the human element. Reports say Clark was frustrated. That's not a throwaway emotion. That's an athlete who felt ready and was denied the chance to prove it. Imagine working your whole life for moments like this: rookie season, playoff push, national spotlight, and your own organization pulls the plug. That frustration isn't about pain. It's about being sidelined when you believe you're built for the fight. And don't forget the chessboard. The Fever just rattled off huge wins without Clark, including blowouts against contenders. The organization sees that, Stephanie White sees that, and the whispers start. Maybe we're actually better without her. That's the kind of dangerous thinking that can change an entire franchise's direction and leave their biggest star on the outside looking in. Let's be clear, this isn't just about one player and one team. This is about the entire WNBA ecosystem and how it handles its biggest star. Caitlin Clark is not just another rookie, she's the engine, the one player pulling in ratings that rival NBA broadcasts. The reason arenas are sold out and casual fans are tuning in for the first time. If the WNBA were a business, and spoiler alert, it is, Clark is their most valuable asset, period. So when the Indiana Fever bench her for the rest of the season, fans aren't just disappointed. They feel betrayed. They bought tickets, they cleared their schedules, they invested emotionally in watching Clark fight through the grind of her rookie year. Instead, they're told, "We ran out of time." That's not just a setback, it's a breach of trust between the league, the team, and its audience. And the optics? They're brutal. You've got a franchise that looks like it's downplaying the health, the drive, and the will of its most bankable star. You've got whispers of favoritism, hidden agendas, and we're better without her mentalities trickling into the conversation. That doesn't just hurt the Fever, it hurts the WNBA's credibility at large. Because here's the big question fans are asking. If Caitlin Clark can be sidelined at the height of her popularity, against her will even, what does that say about how this league values its players? Are they athletes? Or are they chess pieces for executives to move around? The Fever might think they're protecting their future, but in the process, they may have cracked the very foundation of trust that made Caitlin Clark the WNBA's golden ticket. The Indiana Fever can dress it up with medical jargon. Stephanie White can wrap it in long-term wellness language. But when Caitlin Clark herself was frustrated, when she wanted to play, when this team had playoff life and momentum, what we saw was the most valuable player in the league getting shut down by her own organization. Not because she refused, because they refused. And that's the part that leaves a bitter taste. If this was really about health, give us straight answers. Did doctors clear her? Yes or no? Did Clark herself believe she was ready? Yes or no? But instead of clarity, we got spin. Instead of transparency, we got vague sound bites about running out of time. Fans aren't stupid, they see through that. And let's not ignore the bigger ripple effect. If the WNBA allows its brightest star to be sidelined without a clear, honest explanation, what does that tell fans about this league's priorities? Are we building around Caitlin Clark? Or are we testing whether the Fever can shine without her? Because if the answer is the latter, the WNBA just shot itself in the foot. At the end of the day, fans deserve honesty. Clark deserves respect, and the WNBA deserves better than shadow games played with the one player capable of carrying this league into mainstream relevance. But hey, that's just my take. What do you think? Was Caitlin Clark truly injured? Or was she benched by Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you agree this whole thing stinks, and don't forget to subscribe for more unfiltered truth from Her Hoops. Peace, I'm out.